Am I reading? Okay. Number 4.
And welcome to another edition of Smooth Thoughts.
I guess we're on.
I guess we're on. I'm your host, Colonel Chimp. To my right, I have the wonderful, the fantastic, the...
Man, I probably look like shit right now.
You look fine, dude.
That's right, John.
Are you
And
tired?
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a cool day. I've been chilling.
Yeah.
We got another special guest today. Please go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
What's up, everybody? I'm Pedro. Pedro Santana.
Pedrito.
Pedrito. Yeah, that's me.
Santana, any relation?
To which one? You know, there is actually a Pedro Santana who is a evangelical Christian songwriter.
Was that you?
No, it's not me.
Oh, okay.
I'd be rich.
There you go.
There's so many people that share my name in the world that I'm glad, because every time you try to look, like search for me, because I search for myself all the time, like it's just lost in like a sea of
That's
other
good.
people.
Apparently, there's a famous Dominican Republic general named Pedro Santana, supposedly. Can't fact check me on that, but
one who killed
you can take my
everybody?
word for it.
The
What's
one,
that?
the one who like killed a bunch of his people?
I'm actually not sure.
I think
But if
so.
it was him, then yeah, don't associate with me with that guy.
Because I remember we had a militaristic government in there once that we installed, and they just murdered a bunch of poor people.
Isn't it kind of weird?
That's a great way to start a podcast.
Sounds like the
isn't it?
American way, honestly.
Isn't it kind of weird that people share, so many people share names? Like,
It is
I
kinda
feel like
weird.
names are a primitive internet. Because, like, that's before any kind of communication, all you had was, like, your name, where you came from.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so-and-so, and that means I'm from this place.
Yeah.
And my family's been through this thing. And that's just the only way you could, like, actually keep a record of anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and like, especially like the Japanese would like choose their last names based on their location. Like, their name would be like literally rice paddy or mountain
Really?
or river.
They sort of did that. I mean, Jesus did the same thing, right? Jesus of Nazareth. Well, like the Western world, that's how you. That's where your last name was. It was either it's where
Of
you're
Nazareth, yep.
from, or maybe I'm just making this up. But like,
No, you're right.
That wasn't his name, though.
like, wasn't your last name also associated with like your trade sometimes?
Yeah.
Was,
Or
well,
in the tradition of of Jewish people and of people of Muslim faith, it'd be person, son of person.
Okay.
Like the Ben or the Bin, John Ben, whatever. Like you were
So,
son
like,
of.
what does that translate to now? Just, like, pop culture references? Any, like, new names? Like, they're not based on, like, actually, like, oh, like, my dad became a Dogecoin millionaire, so my name should be Marcus Dojith.
Well, why not?
yeah, I mean, it still serves the same purpose, right? It still tells people where you're from and like your status in the world, right?
Oh yeah.
I know that the Mayans, a lot of people had the same names because the Mayans had like two different calendars. They had like a lunar calendar and a work calendar, and like the day that you were born is like your name. So
Interesting. That's
so
cool.
everybody born that day has the same name,
That's pretty cool.
and they basically believe that if you chose the day you were born, so like depending on the day that you are born, you chose that name. Like that's why you were born that day. 'Cause it's
Sometimes
like
I
the chosen
feel
name.
that way. Sometimes I wonder if being alive means you, like, agreed to being alive, which means you agreed to everything that comes with it. Like being alive means you agreed to possibly being eviscerated by something. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I'm cool with that. Let me have a corporeal
Yeah,
existence.
because it'd be worth it, right?
Yeah.
It's
I
like, all right, there's a risk. Yeah, I wonder what that place looks like. Well, I guess maybe it's purgatory. Who knows?
What place?
The like in between place where it's like, okay, here's the contract. You're gonna get a body. There's gonna be chicks. There's gonna be cheeseburgers. But you know, there's
Try
gonna
to
be
tone it
lions
down.
too.
I bet
disease.
it's like a slug's slimy trail. I bet that's like some form of like purgatory, that those types of things are being chosen on for something.
And then they're like, okay, but here's the catch. You're not going to remember this moment right now.
Right.
Go.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they
yeah,
push
yeah.
you. And you got to try and remember it.
Can you imagine? What do you guys think about the afterlife? Are you guys like Christians or in any way or?
I have to be the one that says, no, I think when we die, we die.
Okay, right.
dead?
So he's atheist.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm atheist.
He's
but like
atheist.
purely atheist.
I
Like it's just black.
okay, so I'm the kind of person who believes anything is possible. I just don't think it's probable.
So you don't
gotta
believe it.
convince me that there is an afterlife.
So you don't believe in
My default is
let's
no.
say like some sort of omnipresent entity or whatever that has any say in like reality or consciousness.
I think it's possible. I just haven't been convinced.
You haven't been convinced.
Yeah.
I'm starting to wonder if non-being is just like a construct people have to understand the absence of stuff. But like, I wonder if it's actually a thing that even exists outside of our own head.
I don't know. I've always kind of been convinced, and it could be bullshit, obviously. I've always been convinced that there is a sort of immortality of consciousness, like just because obviously it's impossible for me to like imagine what non-ness is.
Right.
So even though I'm not exactly an atheist, but I'm not exactly a Christian or anything like that. I'm not sure that I can. Maybe it's because I'm human. I can't wrap my head around not existing and not perceiving. Like I just can't do it. I don't think that it's possible for us to stop doing that.
I agree. Like the concept kind of, you can't have something without nothing. Like in order to think of the idea of nothing, there has to be the concept of something. The absence of something is nothing.
Yeah.
So if you don't have one, you can't really have the other. At least in our framework.
I guess it just depends if like I don't know, like if consciousness really is linear, right? And you do just, or maybe if it's, I don't know, if you do kaputs at the end, right? And it just lights out, okay? Like, I don't know, why am I experiencing this now? If I eventually die, I don't know, I just don't buy it.
I feel like all of my organs want to just continue evolving away from me, but my ego is what nets them all in place, and I'm sort of.
I like that idea.
I feel like I have all of my organs hostage.
Yeah,
because I feel like
all the cells.
Yeah.
And
Like
in your
I feel
body.
like they're all pretty autonomous, and throughout evolution, we've just kind of collected each
all
one
these systems
for its purpose,
right.
and we're just like we're gonna keep you here, so you're not allowed to go anywhere else. And so I feel like we're just like this slapped together sort of Frankenstein of different animals.
It could also be that you think you're the one that got everybody together, but it could be this like entire empire and civilization that has itself formed these systems and created these bodies.
I guess if I can
and put these systems of consciousness in place so that they can propagate.
All right, so if I can assimilate organs for my own purposes, then sure, we can be assimilated for something else's purposes. Yeah. Following that, yeah, I agree with that. I don't know what that is, but I guess like nature is like that.
Well, what I mean, like like you have like cells in your body, right? And they all have their own little systems.
I mean, even the organs are taking the cells and keeping them for their own purposes.
Mm-hmm. So it could just be what's going on. It could just be we have no control.
So I feel like I don't know. When I die, I feel like all of my organs and body parts are just going to keep doing their thing.
For a little bit.
No, I mean,
but think about that though.
Done.
But then it moves on to like the next thing of what it is, of what it can be.
But John, think about that. Like, doesn't the body break down over time? Doesn't your body start to fail? Your organs, like cells regenerate, but for the most part, like your body isn't. Like even if we were be able to live to 150, 200, like the mind also fails. Like we have things like Alzheimer's. We have things like these different diseases where our eyes start to fail. You get, a macular degeneration.
Yeah.
Maybe we're meant to only live a certain amount of time. Meant, whatever that means.
Yeah. I think it'd be boring as hell to stay alive longer than.
I don't think it'd be boring. I think it'd be awesome, but like
I mean, I'm looking forward to like I don't know, like I feel like I'm looking forward to like everything disintegrating and reintegrating into whatever I guess I feel like the next thing is.
Yes, if you take yourself out of the human mind frame, or if I take myself out of the human mind frame and imagine my body going back into the earth and becoming something else, yes, I totally agree with that.
Right.
But as a human construct,
but do you think you'd be around for that? Do you think you'd be able? Do you think you'll be able to perceive that though? Do you think you'll be able to perceive? No, you won't, right? Because that's all just ideas that we come up with.
But I've been trying to like see how like memories are not actually in our brain and maybe just distributed across every separate part all like woven together,
Of
right?
your body.
Right. So I've been
Yeah.
kind of playing,
I buy
like
that.
trying to like see that idea. And so under that sort of thing, let's say you'd start disintegrating. If all your memories are within the organs, which their memories might be within the cells, and I mean, if you somehow retain memory down to your smallest bit of information, then I guess maybe you won't be a constructed whole that'll be familiar to you now, but technically speaking, even if in a physics sense, all of your memories kind of still will be encoded in all of the information of everything that's decomposing and recomposing. So maybe you can say you're reborn as maybe something like an environment or something, like, because you just decompose into maybe like a herd of some new animal or something. You decompose into the steak that's going to get eaten.
Decompose into
At some point.
a bunch of flies.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
Bunch of
bugs
maggots.
are going to eat
A
us.
maggot
Maggots.
family.
Maybe the maggot zone is that place where where things make their agreement as to what's going to come next. It's like
Yeah.
the
In the belly of a maggot.
the maggot hive
Belly of the
is
beast.
like
Fucking awesome.
that like rough in between where everybody's
Yeah.
cutting deals and shit. Like, what
Yeah.
do you want to be now, bro? You want to be a cockroach?
So is that what you believe? You believe in like reincarnation
Maggot
in a
death.
way, or
Well, I guess simply, just looking at it simply and thinking about the idea, which I feel like right now has a little bit of scientific like support, possibly that your entire self is just distributed over every tiny little part of you. I'm trying to just
Okay.
use that to like think about it, and it just makes me think that, I mean, how would it feel to just be distributed evenly across, I guess, like, but I guess humans bury themselves actually. So you decompose
Mhm.
and
Did you
and
guys
I
ever
guess
watch
there's
or
a tree
read?
burial. You could be a tree.
It's true.
It reminds me of Game of Thrones. If you guys watch or read it, but one of the main characters ends up doing that. He becomes his brain gets his consciousness gets distributed throughout the trees
Oh, wow.
and all the different animals. He's able to see and like he becomes less and less human over time because he's not human
Game of
anymore.
Thrones?
Yeah.
Which character?
Bran,
No, I don't know. No idea.
the cripple kid, the kid who gets hurt from the start.
Oh, the guy who ends up being the throne man. The guy who ends up being like the king or whatever.
No,
Doesn't he
his
win?
dad becomes a king.
I'm talking about the TV show. Doesn't he at the
Yeah.
end? Don't they just be like, whatever? The kid in the wheelchair will figure it out. And he was like,
Yes,
I've known it
the
all
kid in the
along.
wheelchair. Yes, yes.
And then the writers were like, sweet, let's cash this check.
So
Finish that.
So that kind of happens where he takes on the memories of the trees and everything and the ravens, and he becomes, he lives throughout time, and it's like it's
That's
just
cool.
like a different consciousness.
I like that.
essentially.
I like that idea.
I guess yeah, I do believe in an afterlife. No idea, but I guess I'm trying to like suss out like
I think the idea of memories existing outside of the brain. I think that's a really cool idea that they can exist in your body, different parts. Like you do have muscle memory, right?
Right.
And there are people who
exactly.
get Alzheimer's, but then when they listen to music, they click on and they remember
Yeah,
these fucking
yeah.
songs, and they can jam out, they can play piano.
No, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
I made a funny claim this week. Like I'm kind of anti-neuron because I feel like it's all about the neuron. People are trying to figure
Yeah.
out the neuron. Which neuron does this? Which neuron does that? And I think it's totally fucking wrong. I think basically the body's like one big brain.
Yeah.
And the brain's kind of specialized. It's really fast, but I think memory and processing actually is distributed across your whole body.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea, but thanks for coming on the show,
Yeah,
man.
no problem.
That was a good intro.
That's a wrap. All right, let's go
All
home.
right, let's go.
But so I wanted to introduce everybody to you and kind of bring up this really crazy thing that you're doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us what you're doing?
Well, tomorrow I am moving to London in the
Woo.
UK, and I've been just basically I heard I was gonna finally go last Thursday. Today's Sunday, so like about a week and a couple days ago. Then I'm finally able to go. So I've been spending the last week just packing up, saying goodbye to everybody, skimming some of my material possessions, and I'm gonna leave tomorrow. Leaving tomorrow at 8 in the morning.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You fell in love
I
a
fell
few
in
years
love.
ago
Mm-hmm.
and have been trying to get a visa
Show the
Yeah.
ring,
to
show the
go
ring.
and live. Oh shit, you have a ring. Nice.
That's right.
A real ring. To go and go live with your wife over in
That's
Britain.
right.
How long's it taken to get this visa?
Dude, it's been taking. Well, we proclaimed our love for each other again in 2020 of January, like on the 7th of January, and then we applied for the visa that same year in August of 2020, and now it's April 2022, and I'm finally going.
Yeah, because
So it's
COVID
been
right
like-
there.
It's
at
been like
March.
2 years, man. 2
Yeah.
years of like being apart from the one person you want to be with and
Damn.
doing long distance stuff, and then worrying about. We actually it took 3 applications with the UK government to
And
get
that's
this shit
just
to work.
expensive, huh?
And it is expensive. Yeah, it's not. It's it's pretty expensive. I mean, especially for a working man.
Yeah, that's nuts. So, I mean, shit, dude, that's kind of a really awesome turn of events,
Yeah.
you know? Like, just bail out of here. What else have you got,
Basically.
you know, going on? And
Yeah.
just go fucking live it up in fucking England, dude.
It's funny because I always used to joke about my wife. I used to joke about like before we got back together. I would say I'm just gonna leave Miami and go move to London, and hang out with Julia, and like that was a joke. It was a complete joke.
So how'd you guys
In
meet?
2019, it was a complete joke, and now it's not a joke anymore.
It's not a joke. Not a joke.
We met at a warehouse party. I was playing a show because I'm a musician. I play music sometimes, make
All right.
music, and it was at a warehouse party that our buddy Brandon was throwing, and she was there. And not to sound like lame or anything, but I kind of fell in love with her like the moment that I saw her.
Nice.
But I was like, I'm not gonna talk to this chick at all. I'm just gonna like whatever. That's cool. But then I had put out a big cat blanket over my like stand where I put all of my like drum machine
Pedal.
and stuff. And she saw it and she came up to me and she was like, "Hey, I really like your cat blanket." I was like, "Thank you."
Beautiful.
And in my head I was like, "Oh shit,
Beautiful.
it's over."
Such a lovely, what do you call that?
Yeah,
Such a lovely fairy tale.
yeah,
Dude, seriously, yeah. I mean, what the fuck is going on here?
yeah. It's crazy.
Get out of
It's
here.
crazy. And
Go
she actually
fucking-
and she had a radio show at WVUM.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
like months later, my buddy Hiram was also doing a radio show at WVUM, University of Miami, a radio show, and she had one too. So they became friends, and then she's like, "Oh, you should tell Pedro to hang out." And then, yeah, I went on her show, and like, yeah, became friends, and the rest is history, man. So
That's awesome.
now
Congratulations.
tomorrow- thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
And you went through hell over the last 2 years, but
Yeah.
the fact that you're still here, still trying, still doing it means
Yeah.
you're fucking serious.
I didn't. Yeah, there was a long time. Well, not a long time. There was some, because obviously this is what we wanted to do, and we came up with some like backup plans. But whenever we had to look at the backup plans seriously, it was like a dagger to the belly. Like,
Yeah.
oh, dude, no, that's not gonna happen. We need to do what we set out to do. So it's finally happening tomorrow.
I don't know why, but I want to tell you guys about this movie that I saw yesterday.
Great
It's called
segue.
Thriller, 1974.
Okay.
It's called a cruel movie or something.
All right.
It's a Swedish film.
Hmm.
I feel like I can't name more. I can name all the Swedish films I've ever seen on my hand probably.
From what year?
You just did.
1974. But so it's about this young girl who like leaves her home in like I guess rural Sweden to go to the store, to go to the city to pick up some stuff, and she gets kidnapped, and then she gets hooked on heroin and like pimped out.
Oh, like you do.
And and then
Casually.
at some point it's like a very like shock, and then at some point she slowly like teaches herself a bunch of like combat stuff, and then one day gets a big rifle and then starts like hunting down every John that has like
Every
been
John.
fucking
Every
her
person named
life.
John.
I forget. I guess like John is what you refer to somebody that like goes to like a brothel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know this.
So she hunts down every like dude that, and then finally like she gets her like pimp, and the
Wow.
whole thing is really crazy. Like in the 70s, I guess like I feel like it's really unfortunate that like there's this stark, I feel like, change from like when porn became like something that was like now totally okay to just like do strict porn, because I feel like there was a lot of movies in the 70s. I think they call them like pink movies. Maybe that might just be the Asian ones, where it's like a good movie, but also like kind of has like some hardcore like porn in it, but it's done in a way that's like actually in the movie, so it's like,
tactful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about
you
tactful.
you get tricked into watching.
It's
a
still
porn.
kind of like shock, but I don't know. There's definitely like a thing to it that I just feel like these days, like that kind of stuff is like, it's even hard for me to find these movies, you know, because sometimes I'll find one I want to see, and it's nowhere. I have to like go on like some super sketchy website.
I wasn't really aware of the fact that there was so much nudity in a lot of media in the 70s. I always imagined that we became freer as time went on, and like tits in a movie or something, that's like a new thing.
Well, remember the sexual revolution, 60s, early
Exactly.
70s.
It was like pre-porn, and even like it was like hardcore too. Like you'd put hardcore stuff in movies, like Caligula or something. It was like that. There was a moment.
Caligula
in time,
had some hardcore scenes in it. I haven't seen it.
Caligula was practically a porn, and so like there's this moment in time where they overlapped because like I guess porn wasn't allowed yet. So then the movies just kind of kept getting crazier and crazier until it was just like, all right, fine, just do straight.
Okay, you guys do your porn on like over
Right,
there,
right.
and we'll stick to.
You know, I really feel like that overlap though was a very interesting moment in cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
have you ever heard of the Gong Show?
No.
It was a show like in the 60s or 70s or something.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and like I just heard about it today, and like in the show, you know, like it's a TV show, and people will be like flashing the screen and stuff, and I was just like,
I didn't know that.
this is normal back then. I thought like back then you did something like that, it'd be over for you, but I don't know.
Well, maybe it was
What do I
like
know?
censored.
in the 60s.
If they were
weren't
quick
people
enough to
naked in the
censor it.
streets in the 60s.
Yeah, but not on TV.
Yeah, that's the big distinction, like between like actually being there and like what was put on TV or news broadcast or anything like that. Like that's how we know the 60s. and
You think
70s.
some boobs are gonna get you canceled in the 60s?
I don't know, man. I have no idea. I don't know what it was like.
Yeah, me neither.
I wasn't around.
But I don't know. Seemed like people were getting pretty crazy back then.
Oh yeah.
It's always me and Kafir were talking about like how every time the government says, "All right, we're gonna let you guys test the psychedelics a little bit," it always just like the people handling it. There's just one day to the next where they're just like, "This should be free."
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah.
And then they just
The government's like, shut it down.
Yeah, they just go crazy, and then the government's like, "Oh shit,
Shut it down.
We got to close this show again."
I think we've come a pretty long way when it comes to psychedelics. I think nowadays there's a whole movement to make shrooms legal, right? And shrooms are legal in some
Oh yeah,
places.
I hear that in
Yeah.
Vancouver or somewhere in Canada.
And it's mostly accepted generally, right? It's not like there's a frenzy behind it. You know, like, oh yeah, you hear this place is getting like legal shrooms. Oh yeah, cool.
Well,
it's not like
the thing is, like, it's just the beginning, and I feel like there's going to be a crackdown at some point.
Yeah.
But I feel like I heard that there was, what do you call those? Like a pot shop? What do you call that?
trial runs, or what do you mean?
No, just like not a head shop, but
Smoke shop.
but like places where they're selling them.
Dispensary?
Dispensaries,
Yeah.
yeah. There's more mushroom dispensaries popping up now, which is interesting because it makes me wonder though, like how, just the funny notion of like thinking about how the mushroom feels about it being commodified.
Yeah, that is kind of funny,
It's
right?
almost kind of a part of the entire ethos that it's like you're doing it, and it's in this outlaw space because it's never been legal.
You think it needs to belong in an outlaw space, but
I don't know. I wonder if it's going to affect it
But
at all.
I think like most things that start off in outlaw spaces, as long as there's an industry behind it that where it could thrive, those people will try and make it thrive. Like once you have money, you have more influence with politicians. You might be able to change laws.
Yeah, but I'm talking
change
about
the perception.
the mushroom.
Yeah, he's talking about like
you're
the,
talking
he's
about
talking about like the mushroom
How
god.
does the mushroom feel? Well, where does the mushroom come from? That's the
Yeah,
question.
like, what's the
like the
mushroom
mushroom
god?
buddy in the shroom. I know who you're talking about. I met that guy.
Like,
You think the mushroom, if it becomes commodified, would be like, fuck this. I don't want to teach you guys anything.
Yeah,
anymore.
like,
and then they
it's
just
gonna-
stop working.
yeah, like it's gonna go on strike and shit. It's gonna be like,
Or it's just like,
nah.
all right, from here on, it's just bad trips until this is free and no one's making money off of it.
No. I'm sure it'll go well. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. The studies have been really good. And for sure, as much as I guess like it's weird for me to imagine all of the people that like won't do something just because it's illegal or something, there's probably just like uncountable amount of people that would benefit from.
Wouldn't you think though that the mushroom would want itself to spread? Isn't that in the nature of the mushroom?
Yeah, you're right.
I don't
to
think the
spread as
mushroom
much as
cares.
possible.
You're right, you're right,
It
you're
probably
right.
just wants to spread.
Yeah,
It'll
it's
just spread,
maybe indifferent, but also yeah, that would if it was able to get some more people.
I mean, can you imagine if you called up Mushroom on the phone and been like, "Yo, have you ever heard of capitalism?" And then it's like, "What do you mean?" Like, I've been around since before capitalism, since
Yo,
before
mushroom,
like
it's
laws.
John. It's gonna be like, what do you mean? I was the first currency.
Yeah.
Like you,
I
you guys
built
think
this
you
world.
care
I
about capitalism?
invented money.
That tree is there because of me. Look at the roots. Look at the roots. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So the mushroom wants to build.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
It just wants to spread. Wants to make these networks. That's what it does.
Now, is the mushroom all mushrooms, or are we talking about mushroom god being just one kind of mushroom?
That's
Is
a
it?
tough one.
I don't know.
That's a tough
I've never
one.
thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like portobello mushrooms.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
How do they feel?
they're commodified.
So do you think this is a kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier about like omnipresent beings? Do you think then that when you take the mushroom and you meet like the mushroom god or whatever, is that an external entity from like without, or is that something that's from within that like you're activating? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
You don't know? You don't,
I think it's without. Yeah.
You think it's without?
I think it's within.
I think it's without.
within, right?
I think it's within. Because all exists right here. All your experiences are right here. Or else, if you were tripping right now, I would be able to somehow sense that something's going on.
But what about when you trip with a friend or you trip with a group of people and then you start having like telekinetic like experiences? You guys have never had like telepathy or anything like that when
That's
you're tripping?
happened to me.
You've never had like shared dialogues, like mental dialogues?
Not that I remember.
I thought I was, and then later I realized we were just
You were
convincing,
just tripping.
we were convincing each other. But I've had some crazy experience where I felt like we were mind melding, and then at some point it like, but then I went to go smoke, and then she didn't smoke, and then we were no longer on the same
Oh,
plane.
that's sad.
It
Could have
was
just been
weird.
tripping, man.
Yeah, for sure. That was DXM though.
Yeah. And I don't mean like without, like there's actually like, I don't know, a thing that's like actually communicating with me, but
Mhm.
like language, yeah, maybe spontaneously coming out of myself and everything, but I definitely think that there's plenty of filters that melt off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And so
Totally.
you're just a little more aware of certain
Yeah.
things that are
Yeah.
around you.
Yeah, psychoactive
But-
substances do that in general. Like some just give you like different filters. Like drinking does that, but in different ways,
man.
and it makes things worse too. But sometimes it makes it better. It also depends on the person. Like people react differently to different substances.
Very true.
Wish I had a drink.
Wish you had a drink?
Yeah.
Some wine?
Break.
We had a cocktail before. We went and got a couple cocktails before.
You want?
I got home and I was like, oh, there's no alcohol.
Should have told me I would have brought you some beers. or something.
Yeah. I could go. Oh, I have
How long have you
a
been
beer
sober?
on.
I've been sober since 2018.
Woo.
And it's the best
In
decision you
February
ever made.
18th. Yeah, definitely the best decision I've ever made. Absolutely. It was it was the defining choice that I made in my life that changed everything for me, basically.
I can relate. I did that with weed.
Yeah.
I stopped smoking, and it was the best decision I ever made.
You don't smoke weed at all anymore?
I started when I was 12.
Damn.
And then around 22 or so, I stopped. And it was just because I just didn't feel good anymore. I would get way too paranoid. Every time I tried having a good time, it just wasn't a good time.
Yeah.
It was something innate that just made me feel like shit.
Yeah.
So why continue? No.
I tried not, even though I'm sober, when I say sober, I mean I don't drink alcohol anymore.
Gotcha.
You know, I still smoke weed. But not that long ago, I tried to not smoke weed just because, like, oh, I should try not smoking weed. And my verdict was, you should just keep smoking weed, dude. It doesn't matter. You're fine.
How long did you go?
For like a week.
That's the hardest part. The first month's always the worst.
But I don't know. I was like, let me see if I get some mental clarity. Let's see if I get like less lazy or like anything. It's like, no, I have my own personal habits that I need to fix. And like weed isn't the problem.
There you go.
But that could just be the stoner in me trying to, what's the word?
Propagate.
Negotiate with myself. You know what I mean? Try to convince myself of something. But
I wonder
I don't
what
know.
the world will look like after a few years of these like new therapies.
I think it would be good. I think it would be good. I
Give us
think
some
it would be better.
examples what you mean by new therapies. Give us some examples what you mean by new therapies.
Like legal weed, legal mushrooms, you know,
Ketamine.
ketamine's being used, MDMA is being
Ketamine?
used.
Oh
yeah,
my
ketamine's being
God.
prescribed, dude. Like as an
Yeah.
Have you ever been K-holed?
no.
Jesus Christ, I would not prescribe that to anybody.
But if you do it,
Hey,
yeah,
dude.
but
Well, you're
if
not a
you
doctor,
do
my
it
friend.
Controlled and yeah, guided and everything. Yeah.
No, there's no guiding that shit, dude. Like time and space.
Yeah, but who
is
knows how
gone.
dirty like whatever you got was.
It's true.
Straight from a vet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everybody reacts differently too.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, but I mean, you know, I'm sure if it's being used and there has some sort of use, but it's hard to imagine.
They
'cause
say it's
like,
good for depression, and I actually have friends over the years who were depressed and would do it, and it would make them feel great.
I can
Yeah.
see that. I think with all drugs, you do need a strong frame of mind to just not go mad. But in terms of dissociatives like ketamine or DXM, like
DXM.
yeah, dextromethorphan hydrobromide, triple C's.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, triple C's. You really get taken out your body. Like at some point, you leave your body, you're there, and then like you're over here.
Yeah, but when they give you triple C's, when they don't tell you to like eat 9 boxes worth, right? They tell you to, like,
Well, so the
pop a
trick
tablet.
is-
Right. It's,
the
there's
trick,
doses. There's doses.
at least when I remember when I was in high school.
That's what I mean. Like the doctor's not gonna be like, all right, here's a bag. Here's like a 50 bag of K. Just, you know, whenever you feel depressed, fucking go nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
you're right.
it's-
They have
It's
like little
definitely
nasal.
dope.
they got like
sprays.
little nasal sprays, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, it's
And it's,
nasal spray.
it's
Yeah.
controlled doses. Yeah, yeah.
This is fucking
It's legit.
science, dude.
It's packaged.
No, it's not science.
It's
It's
a price on it.
capitalism.
A little bit of
It's
both.
capitalism. Hey, I support it. If whatever helps people, you know, like we all have different goals, and if that works for you, it works for you. But people are definitely making money behind it, and that's the important part.
They kind of have to make money, right? It's a capitalist system that we live under, so that's the only way anything gets done. Unfortunately,
I have no problem with people trying to make money as long as they're not pushing things just because it makes money.
So like,
They're gonna do it.
no fidget spinners.
Oh my God! Don't even get started with
You
that.
know what I'm talking about? Those little silicone like bubble things that you just
Yeah.
kind of like squeeze
that
in and out.
That was
Did
a
you ever
huge
used to
wave.
play Beyblades?
No, I was never that cool.
No?
I was
No.
never that cool.
No.
I was never a Beyblader. Didn't you just recently get into Beyblading?
No.
Like alleyway illegal Beyblading.
I used to be. I started like a whole movement in my middle school. I turned a trash can over,
What?
and I was like looking for like a lid, like a bowl, and I turned a trash can over, and I started Beyblading, and then it got like everybody
That's
in the
amazing.
school wanted to play, and then I was just like, I'm over it. You guys can have it.
Made it big and then dropped it. It's like,
Yeah.
whatever.
I missed that wave. Like my wave was like early Pokemon, and that was it.
I never caught the Pokemon wave. Believe it or not, I thought it was for nerds. I was in the 5th grade, and I was like, Pokemon cards are for nerds.
Oh,
What did I
definitely for
know?
nerds.
Well, I was a little kid. I was a squirt.
Yeah, but
Thought I was cool.
but we still get
That's
that.
for nerds.
It was for nerds.
But,
And
like,
it still is.
We still get that perception from like TV. Like, what was popular in 5th grade? I'm sorry, how old are you?
I'm in the 5th grade. No, I'm 34.
Perfect. So, what was popular when you were in 5th grade?
Britney Spears,
South Park.
Limp Bizkit. Yeah, South Park.
South Park
yeah.
was big on
5th
TV,
grade.
and we learned a lot from those
I
fucking
did.
people.
I did.
So, like, even though, you know, like, we were just like, oh, fucking nerds, all that. Like, even though we didn't fully understand it, we were definitely projecting that.
Yeah. I leaned hard into South Park, actually. When I was in the 5th grade, I got in trouble because we had this like writing exercise that we would do where you can either write a story or you can write a script or whatever, and then you act it out in class. And I decided to write a script, but it was all just a complete ripoff of South Park. Like, it was just like vulgar, just bad, tasteless jokes, sexual stuff.
Did you get an A?
No, I got in trouble. Well, the guidance, we were doing it in class, right? Like, I had written it out and we were doing it in class, but we had a substitute teacher. So we're all like, oh, this is what we usually do. And so everyone was going, and then I went up and we started doing our thing. And then the freaking guidance counselor walked in, because she usually walks in and washes her plates in our sink. We had a little sink in the, and she heard what was happening. She heard like what we were saying, and she ended up complaining to my teacher when he came back. And she fucking got me in trouble.
Wow.
And he sat me down and he was like, what is this? And he like went over it.
Wow.
He was like, instead of Cartman, it was like Fartman. You know what I mean? There's like people getting killed in it and like whatever.
I'm an
farts and
artist,
stuff.
damn it.
People, there was someone like choking a chicken.
Stop
but it was like,
censoring me.
literally some chicken choking. But the joke was obviously that, you know. And he was like, you guys are too young to be doing this. Like, and he ripped it. And when he ripped that freaking script, I was like, damn, worked hard on that shit.
You know what I wonder sometimes? like imagining like the chicken getting killed. Like, I wonder if like having an animal eat you alive, like if that's like the craziest trip.
You know what's funny? I think about that.
Well,
a
yeah,
lot.
DMT probably kicks in.
Yeah, right. Like
I think about that a
wonder,
lot.
right? Because if you're like something's like all up in your guts, just like pulling
Yeah.
away at you,
That's
you're
gotta
probably not
be-
gonna feel that.
Oh my God, I
At
hope
some
not.
point.
You're gonna
like,
go into shock.
Like, imagine if a dog attacks you and
That's
just, like,
one of my
kills you.
worst. My worst fear is to be completely, fully alive, totally conscious, and to have a beast gobbling at my belly.
Right.
That's got to be the most nightmarish thing I can think of. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. At some point, like, you lose feeling and you're just like stunned. But those first few seconds are gonna fucking suck.
Sometimes I wonder though, and maybe these are my organs though. Maybe I'm trying to tap into what my organs are feeling, but for some reason, I don't know. I feel like my organs feel like they want to be eaten,
You think so?
but like my ego doesn't, because I need to retain my sense of self. But sometimes I wonder if really what I want is to be like blindfolded in the ocean, like in a pack of sharks.
You
know
can
what I
make a
mean?
case for that. You can make a case for that. You know, they say like a true monk would. You know how
Or
like
are those samurais?
no, like the Buddhists. What's that word for when you give everything up?
Right. Don't you have to meditate on death too?
Yeah, I suppose so. Right.
No, I think that's samurais. I think samurais
What's the thing that Buddhist monks do? There's like a word for it where they're like, okay, no Cheetos, no video games, no TV.
I mean, exactly what you're talking about. I can't think of the word.
Well, it's like giving everything up. There's like a word for it, and like I read somewhere that like the true sage would let themselves decompose if they truly were to let go,
Right,
they
right,
would
right.
just stop participating at all. They would stop eating. They would stop breathing. They would just give it back. They would just let their whole entire system decompose and just let it.
You remember that Flocka stuff?
Waka Flocka flame?
That stuff that had people like eating people's face
Oh
off?
yeah, dude, for sure. The bath salts.
I heard that the experience would either go one of two ways. You would either be like a porn star, and like that's your trip, like you're just like this crazy porn star
Flagga?
on Flagga, and like it's like tactile and like you're there, or you're gonna be chased by a wild animal. That was like
terrifying.
generally speaking the two directions that stuff would go in.
Imagine hearing that and then being like, "All right, dude, yeah, sure, let me get
Yeah,
20
like
of that."
that sounds like what I need right now.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting idea. Like you were mentioning how, like, I guess it's to kind of like become sage like, or their idea of nirvana, like getting rid of all of your worldly possessions, any
Yeah.
materialism, any wants, is to really just let yourself decompose and just die.
Right.
So if the point of life is to die, then like what is the
Well, that's
point
what the
of,
Buddhists think.
I understand, but like
Finish your thought. Finish your thought.
Right,
but
right.
it's not just the Buddhists. That's also, I believe, idea of Stoicism in Western
What
culture.
were you gonna say? What's if
If the point of
Yeah,
life
that's
is
the
to
point of
die,
life.
then like,
If the point of life is to die, then what's the point of
then
living?
why do we have so much variety and variability in the way we could live our lives, even outside of this modern world, even 200, 500 years ago? Why is there so much variety and
Oh right, yeah. I think that goes back to like the agreement. It's like you get to be a human for this amount of time, but you're gonna, agree that you could get murdered.
I don't think that like the point of living is to die. I just think the point of living is pure experience,
Right.
pure
Yeah.
sensory like experience.
I definitely agree. I think in the end, that's what it comes down to. Like, you make your own life, you make your own meaning,
Yeah.
and it's down to experience. And
It's it's really just sensory experience, touch, fuck, eat, imprint memories, and then pass the seed along. Right. That's really what life is all about. Is to try to keep the seed going, to try to keep the life bursting open, to carrying it along.
whether it's through genetically, through offspring, or through culture,
Yeah, or through culture. Yeah, totally.
because we learn a lot through culture. Like,
That's pretty rad. That's another way that memories can exist outside of the brain and outside of the body.
yeah, think about like some guitarist, some musician figures out some great way of doing something, and then even though they may not have offspring, they may teach it to other people, and that'll transfer down to culture.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy knew how to like bend, and that's where bending came from,
Yeah.
or something like that. Like,
Yeah, totally.
that's crazy.
So do you like live in every bend?
What?
Like every time somebody bends the guitar, like you're like yourself. It just flashes briefly.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm big on improvising. I'm a big musician. I love music, and when I improvise, like I just like try to get in the moment of what's going on.
When this man bends, it's not just him bending it. It's every human
Yes.
ancestor before him.
the
going into
Avatar, man. My forefathers
About
before
that.
me, all of them. Grant Green, Wes Montgomery, Jimi Hendrix are all bending with me.
that. Yeah, that's
Right,
rad.
right.
And then I just realized I'm in a drug-filled binge, and that's really what we're doing. We're all just drugged out and like experiencing stuff.
Man. Yeah, when I always thought that when I died, I wanted my body to be chopped up and fed to vultures.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
and I don't know. There's something comforting in that idea.
I had a weird idea when I was younger in like high school. For some reason, I'd never done heroin. I've never done heroin. I don't plan on doing heroin. But I wanted to die by
On
injecting heroin and falling off of a very tall building. And for some reason, that was a very comforting idea for me. I have no idea why.
You probably like Nirvana.
But like just this idea of being like weightless, floating, like death is coming at any moment, but right now there's nothing holding me down. And I don't know why I was adding heroin in there. I think it was just to be, being a kid, being
I
stupid.
mean, that sounds fun.
I see why you would add heroin there. I mean, if I was gonna jump off a building and fall to my doom, I would want to be high on heroin because otherwise I'd be scared shitless.
Somehow you survive. Yeah, maybe
I'd
that's
be
what it was.
screaming,
Maybe it
crying.
was just the fear, just
Pissing.
combating fear.
Yeah. I've thought about.
I don't feel like that anymore, obviously.
I mean, I don't want to do heroin, but I have thought about being an old ass man and being like, hey, you know what? Let's just, I mean, this far, might as well give heroin a shot. Maybe when I'm like 70 or something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
You know
anymore.
what I mean? At that point, like,
I wouldn't anymore because I realized, like, at in your 20s and stuff, like your body is able to like take all those hits. And now I'm 33, and I'm like that. I can still take hits, but it's not like when I was 20.
I mean, I think everything should be legal.
And as you hit 60
yeah, I
and
think
70,
I
it's
think
gonna
everything
be
should be
worse.
legal too.
Yeah,
I think every drug should be legal.
I think
Absolutely.
people should have that right. Yeah.
Totally.
But then we have to have a conversation about like restrictions, censorship, and like why certain things are restricted.
I think we should legalize drugs and then deal with everything afterwards.
I just though I think about I
You
think
know what I
about
mean?
I think about what the cocaine industry would look like, and I'm like,
Can you imagine how weird the cocaine industry would
like
be?
I know
It'd be worse than Bitcoin.
I feel like I already know all the people I've ever met that would be in the cocaine industry, like
Yeah.
right away, like I can already see what everybody looks
Yeah.
like in that world, and I can already see it getting super sketchy. Very
Sure,
fast.
we'll legalize it, but will you regulate it, or is it going to be completely unregulated?
well, I mean,
course
that's why you
of
would.
course
That's why you
regulate
would.
it,
That's
yeah.
why you would legalize it, though. You would
Yeah,
legalize
yeah.
it to regulate it.
Yeah.
I think it is regulated now. It's just max regulation.
Cocaine.
Yeah,
Cocaine's not regulated.
yeah. It's the ultimate regulation. You can't do it.
Mm.
Schedule 1 drug.
No, I don't really know that. That's not really regulation, though. That's just making it illegal, right?
But with regulations, certain things are illegal. Like you can't do certain things.
That's just semantics.
Semantics.
We-
Yeah.
I agree.
we-
But I think to me,
I want to be able to walk into Publix, get a pub sub, and an 8-ball.
That's the future of George. If that shoe would hit George Bush, then
And
you'd be
why
able to go
can't we?
outside and catch like a drone Uber
Yeah.
to your house.
Exactly. I want a drone. I want Jeff Bezos' drone to deliver me a fucking illegal 8-ball.
Amazon narcotics.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I like that weed is becoming legal, but I'm also not
it's gonna be
too
crazy.
cool with the whole way that it's become legal.
It's gonna get mad regulated. It's gonna get
Like-
mad taxed, and that's gonna
Yeah,
happen with every
man,
drug.
you're making weed legal, but there's still people in jail right now who are because of weed. You know, and it's like I don't know. And the people who are in charge of the weed industry right now,
They're the main pushers.
they're not really the people who have been affected by it being illegal this whole time.
Dude, I was in Colorado
So it's
though.
Capitalism.
and They have this topical stuff that it's like a cream,
Yeah,
and it gets your muscles high.
it's incredible.
Like your
Probably
muscle
CBD.
is stoned. No. It's THC in the muscle.
I believe it.
So you rub it on your knee, and then like a couple hours later, you're like, oh, I don't know why, but I just want to shove this hot dog under my knee. I'm
Yeah.
hungry.
It's really weird. It's not like anything I've ever felt before. It's like you rub it on the muscle, and then like a few minutes, like 10 minutes later, like if you've got like a sore muscle or like some sort of achy muscle, like it's suddenly very chill.
Yeah.
Like your muscles suddenly like, ooh. It's pretty incredible.
I've taken CBD before. I'm not really sure if I've taken any weed salves.
I think that stuff's really hard to find. I only found it in like these like little dispensaries in the boonies.
Yeah.
In Colorado. Must be quite regulated.
Do you guys are you guys licensed to purchase weed here in Florida? Not
No.
really, right?
No.
Oh, so you guys don't smoke weed then?
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand the industry thing,
Yeah.
the situation here at all. I don't even keep up with it.
I'm pretty sure you just go to a doctor and they prescribe it to you.
Mm-hmm. Then you can go into the dispensary with a license
Yep.
and be like, "Let me get a bunch of sour gummy worms."
I'm so lazy to do anything like that.
But it's just a way of taxing it. Like it's like, it's so dumb when you think about it. It's just, and then then if you have money and power, then these regulations don't really apply to you because you can get any drug you want. You can go as many drug-filled binges as you want, and even if you get caught, either gets covered up or, they just slap your wrist.
But that's
You don't go to jail.
anybody. Everybody in all of history has basically been doing it undercover.
I'm just, trying. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Yes, it is undercover. I completely agree with you. Like, we could do the same now, but if the cops were to come knock on the door, we wouldn't go away scot-free. But if you're Hunter Biden, then it doesn't really matter. I had to bring it back.
So I think
You like that?
yeah, that was a good
But
segue.
it's a great example because this is true.
What happened with Hunter Biden?
Yeah, apparently you know the skinny on Hunter Biden, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there. I mean, I don't know.
Give
if
us
it
some more.
wasn't good.
Give us the most important details about
But
it and why it's a big deal.
Who cares, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he
Why is it a
tried
big
to
deal?
set up a meeting with his dad, and his dad.
They shared the same bank account. He was getting paid to be on the board of Burisma, which is some energy company in Ukraine, which he has no experience at all.
And who put him? So whose company is that? That was Joe Biden's company.
No, So a lot of politicians, including Joe Biden, including these other people, I can't remember their names. The Mormon,
Mitt Romney.
Susan something, I can't remember the names, and this other guy. They've been in back and forth. John McCain. They've been back and forth in Ukraine, trying to set up industry there. And we installed like we've been fucking with the government for a long time. We kind of ousted one of the people back, I think, 2014 or 2016.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
We trained, the CIA trained a bunch of fascist militias. You keep hearing about the Azov battalion?
Sure.
We trained them. And
Did we though?
Yep.
I don't know.
And then basically, this is what we do in a lot of different countries. Ukraine is just one example, but like we what's called rebelize. We push the rebel faction to go against the government in power, and then that way we could influence to put our guy in power.
And so was Hunter Biden training people?
No, Hunter Biden was not training people.
All right, so what the fuck did he do?
Yeah, what the hell did Hunter Biden do?
He was put into he got hired on the board of this one influential energy
and
company.
they wanted a meeting with Biden, right?
No, one guy, I think it was, I can't remember if he was the DA or something, like some head prosecutor of Ukraine was trying to get him out. And basically Joe Biden, who was vice president at the time, got him fired. And like he bragged about it. So basically our United States vice president used his influence to change, to fire a prominent government judicial official in a different country, in a sovereign country. Think about what that means.
And so Hunter Biden was involved because I still didn't catch how Hunter Biden was involved.
He was getting paid millions of dollars to be on the board of Burisma, some energy company where he has no experience and he didn't really do anything. So was he really getting paid, or was that money really going to Joe Biden? That's the link.
Well, it looked like Hunter Biden was having fun.
Oh yeah, he was definitely having fun. He's like, he's been getting fucked up this whole time. He put out a book.
Good for him.
Yeah, it's great for him, but that's going back to my point what I was trying to make. It's like when you're rich and powerful, these laws don't matter. So it's like, that's why for me, it's like this whole thing about like make it legal, regulate it.
Laws can still not matter. People every day, everywhere are fucking cutting corners on the law.
I completely agree with you.
And
what happens when you get caught?
Yes, if you get caught, if you have more money, it'll cost you to make things go away. Sure, yeah. So yeah, they get away with a lot, but I don't see
a problem with that.
Where I care, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, it's corruption. I'm against corruption.
I mean, I don't know. Ukraine, I don't know what the fuck's
For
going on.
me, I don't know. Maybe I'm just...
There's like a war in Ukraine right now, and you're like, hands off. We don't know what's going on. But like Biden gets money from Ukraine, and like that's something to be concerned about.
No. That's not going against
for
the war in
me,
Ukraine.
it's just a thing. For
I
me.
didn't know. I didn't know you were trying to have that conversation.
No. I mean, I just thought about that. I mean, because as much as like it makes me sad that there's war, it's like I also don't know anything about it.
So the Hunter Biden thing has been, this is interesting. The Hunter Biden thing came out a couple years back, but it was suppressed in the media because Joe Biden was a candidate to be president.
Right.
It was actively suppressed by the mainstream media, including the New York Times,
You don't think
the Intercept.
But you don't think that there could be... You don't think that...
everything.
You don't think that... Hold on. Okay, never mind.
But think about that. the mainstream media works...
Mainstream media sucks. They suck
fuck
from
the mainstream
top
media.
to bottom, dude.
Mainstream media, if you're
suck.
listening,
So it's like...
Fuck off.
But think about it. So they're working in tangent.
I don't expect shit from them.
With the Democratic government to control what was being
See, but
told
this
to people.
is my issue, right? My issue is this. Like, for me, that kind of shit with like Hunter Biden being part of a board in some corporate place in some other country and the vice president has him there, To me, that sounds like business as usual shit. That sounds
Agreed.
like
Agreed.
top tier elitism
Yeah, like,
that has
why
fucking
was-
nothing to do with me.
Why was
and
Trump's
it sounds like the same
kids
shit
in the government?
Exactly. It sounds like the same
that's
shit
just the
that
shit
these
they always
people
do.
Exactly. It sounds like the same exact shit that these people have always been doing. But now because it's Hunter Biden, right? And maybe it's not the mainstream media, but Fox News is the mainstream media, buddy. Now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
it's these people are fucking pointing their fingers so hard at this situation because
It's
they're
definitely
grasping
political.
they're just grasping at something, some way to villainize this dude. And I'm not trying to defend Joe Biden because fuck Joe Biden, but like it just doesn't seem out of the
It's
ordinary
still-
to me.
yeah,
It doesn't
it's
seem anything out of the
It's like a
ordinary.
big
It's
nothing
definitely
burger
political.
as
I
far
It
as
completely
just
I'm
seems.
agree
It
with
just
you.
seems like something that they're trying to use to weaponize to make this dude look bad in a certain way. And I don't really know. I don't really see it.
They definitely are trying to do that. I mean, everything is political. I completely agree with you. But it doesn't change the fact that there's corruption at the highest levels of our government. And I
Yeah,
personally am against that. And
I
whether it's
agree.
Trump,
I
whether it's
agree.
Biden,
Right. I totally agree that there's definitely corruption at the highest levels of government. But like the whole like Hunter Biden thing, that's not something that affects like the American people
I
directly.
completely disagree.
It's complete fucking distraction. There's like so many other points of corruption happening where like that shit actually affects.
Do they know
people.
how much money it
And
was?
like the megaphone is
Millions of dollars,
and mainstream
like 3 million,
media
5 million?
put the megaphone on the fucking Hunter Biden like
So-
situation.
No. That's the thing. So that's okay. So it was opportunistic because this came out years ago and it was suppressed until now.
Until Tucker Carlson
No, until
heard
the
about
new-
it, dude.
No,
it was Tucker Carlson.
No.
Yes, it was.
This was 2019. This was pre-COVID. This was all over the news. Now the New York Times is finally saying, "Oh well, that actually might have actually happened." Before everyone
Okay.
was denying it,
Okay.
and now they're saying, "Okay, well, actually, maybe there was."
Well,
a laptop.
okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I still don't see why.
It's
I
not
guess
a-
like
why is it important?
why there's so much care, but also it's like, of course, it's obvious the news stations, whether they said it's not true or not, it's like, well, there's no evidence for
Yeah.
you to like actually say. And if they admit it now, hey, at least they admit it.
I just think that even if it was true, like maybe I do believe it. Yeah, sure, fine, it is true. But man, you're gonna put a megaphone to this issue when there's other shit that's going on.
Well, think about the broader implications. The mainstream media, which puts out the news that everyone sees, is taking cues directly from the federal government.
Okay, I guess that's just
So
not
if the
surprising. to me.
if the mainstream media is supposed to be unbiased and objective, it's not. It's really just propaganda from the government.
But not all mainstream media is propaganda from the government.
I agree, but like, this is the same thing that happened in Iraq with weapons of mass destruction.
True.
Stories were put out, and turns out they were all lies.
True.
Same thing would happen with yellow cake uranium, which ended up being a lie.
I don't know
Colin
what that is.
Powell.
What is it? Oh, right. The yeah.
Yeah, it was like, oh, okay, we have proof that Saddam Hussein has this. No.
But I'll tell you this.
It
But,
turns out it was all bullshit.
was that the mainstream media, or was that not Colin Powell? Was that not directly the actual institution putting out this shit?
Yes, it was. It was leaked. It was.
But
leaked.
it was literally the institution. Colin Powell, he himself said the thing. He said weapons of mass destruction are real, and the mainstream media,
That was-
because
no,
they
yes,
are reporters,
that's part of it.
They took what he said and they reported it.
But they also leaked information to the New York Times, to the Washington Post, and they put out news that corroborates
and who did
other
this?
stuff.
So you're saying that the government institution did this,
Yes,
and they used the mainstream media to do this.
This is a fact.
So how is it not possible then that maybe an institution like the Republican Party could use the mainstream media like Tucker Carlson,
Of course.
to weaponize like
Of course.
their agenda?
Dude, this isn't.
It's not about the mainstream media though. That's what I'm trying to say.
This is not a Republican versus Democrat thing.
It's about the institution, right? So my issue is that when people say like mainstream media, like, dude, the enemy is not mainstream media, because if you think that it is, you're never going to be able to learn how to discern bullshit information from like real information, because just because it's come from the mainstream media, you're automatically going to be like, no, that's bullshit.
I completely agree with you. You have to sift through different
Yeah.
pieces of news and try to find truth. I completely agree with that, and that takes work. I shouldn't call it mainstream media. I should call it the corporate media.
But even then, dude, no, what I'm saying is like, it's not even maybe it is the corporate media.
It is the corporate media, dude. Okay, the journalists
It's the people who use corporate. It's the people who use
Fox
it though.
News,
It's people
all
who
of
use
these
it.
People are not journalists. They're just like the politicians. They're in the career just to look nice on TV, be able to read the script, and follow the rules. Real journalists are out there like Chris Hedges, like Glenn Greenwald, like Matt Taibbi. They all have different
Wait, Glenn
opinions.
Greenwald?
Yes.
Let's not even go there. I know some people like Glenn Greenwald, some people don't. But
I'm guessing you don't like Glenn Greenwald?
So what do you? I have no opinion. What do you think? Do you think something should be done? Do you think there should be consequences?
Yeah, that's actually a good question.
I think we should decentralize news. And we'll go back to conversation about Bitcoin. Like a lot of things.
Right. Well, I guess
Decentralized
that's
news.
the fleeting.
Like we have a lot of
Promise,
different
no?
news. It's like it doesn't matter what you believe in, but like news and different journalists shouldn't be suppressed.
Well, it's the fleeting promise of Web3, no?
I guess, but it doesn't need to
Or
be
like
Web3.
What other? Yeah. What other? How do you propose?
Censorship. Okay. Did you guys hear about the whole Parler thing a couple of years back?
Parler? Like
Parler?
The app?
Yeah, the app Parler
Yeah,
that
yeah.
became the most downloaded app on the App Store and Google.
'Cause right-wing people
simply
use it.
For like a month or whatever.
simply because Trump was pushing it.
Right.
So what happened? Amazon, Google, all these huge tech companies who also control the underlying infrastructure literally shut down Parler.
Which I think is fine.
Why?
Because those corporations have a right to run their business the way they want.
But why did they do that?
I don't care, really.
You don't?
It's obviously political, and I could give a fuck if someone's being shut down. I think it's their responsibility to mobilize and figure it out. And
But it's
if you have to make your
censorship.
no, but
It's
they're private.
censorship.
They're private companies.
And I don't think that's a good argument.
I think it's
still
fine. I
censorship.
think they can do whatever they want.
Amazon controls a lot of the internet infrastructure. Amazon, what's it called? AWS. They control when
So,
when
like,
Amazon,
what do you want to do? Make it public? You want
I
a
think-
hostile
I think
takeover by the
inter-
government?
I think internet should be free.
I agree with that statement.
I don't think that the government
I
can
think-
fucking run the internet.
I think the
dude.
government. I think the
I didn't
internet
say
should
the
be
government
free.
should run the internet, but I think the internet should
So
be
who's going to give
a
it
free
for
and open
free,
place.
dude? Where's it going to come from for free? You think
It should be a
FPL
utility.
is a behemoth with
Internet
with
should be a utility. It should be
bad
free.
manners, dude? You think FPL as a private entity, as shitty as they are already, or like their electricity, but like the internet companies fucking suck.
But-
you think
but-
there's going to be a benevolent free internet company
But
that's
dude,
going to
you
work
know what
well?
though? I believe that internet should be free, but I don't think internet being free is going to fix.
What are you, a
the
bunch of
problem.
commies?
Hold on. Maybe I misspoke. I don't mean free in terms of like not
Sort
having
of.
to pay for it. I think you should pay for these utilities, but I don't think it should be censored.
I think census calling private companies doing what they want with their base censorship is
Yeah, I'm not really
kind
sure
of
that's-
reaching.
I'm not really sure if that's censorship.
And
yeah.
I feel like it's also like like seriously, like if there's really a political wing that is being outcasted by the entire communications like network, build your own parallel communications network. Because you have to. Who's going to force these companies to do that?
But it's
the government.
Not just, it's
I
not,
do
hold on,
not
hold on.
want that.
It's not just the right wing media. That just wasn't the pop.
Who gives a, whoever
also
they
the
cancel?
left-wing people.
That's why I believe
Yeah.
in Web3 because it's like I would prefer to just step away from all.
How
this
about
shit.
left wing activists that are against animal abuse?
Yeah, but look, if you're gonna start like just naming things that they're doing and then have me decide which one's right and which one's wrong,
No.
That's a whole.
look,
fucking,
But let me give you an example.
I think I agree with you on this, man. I think I agree with you on this because leftists have been dealing with this kind of shit forever.
This was a huge thing in the 90s.
But this is the thing, though. Oh man, it's just such a complicated issue because leftists have been dealing with this shit forever, even since there's been assassinations because of it, right? People have been blacklisted, put on lists and shit, and now
you
it's
get a
finally happening to these
YouTube
guys.
channel canceled, and you're gonna.
And so then
cry.
now it's a big deal, right? Now it's when we have to worry about it. Exactly when you're getting kicked
I
out of
agree
a
with you.
platform, out of your shitty little hangout spot.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
I don't
Eat
think.
shit,
I
dude.
think it's
Build-
for me. It's
build
like
a
fuck you,
parallel
deal with
network.
it, just like all of the leftists had to do. How everybody else had to reorganize, refigure it the fuck out.
and take over the entire Democratic party and turn this into a puppet state with Uncle Joe up at the stage. Like, leftists figured it out. So, I mean, the right's going to, too.
No,
Trump's looking pretty strong for 24
No, the main. Oh yeah, I agree.
So, hey, they're on their way.
Well, you have the
They're on their way.
mainstream corporate leftists, which I don't really think are leftists. I think they're more center, and then you have more
Joe Biden's not leftist.
more radical leftists. You have people who are communists. You have people who are not communists. You have people who believe in different things. Like, you know, it's not all whatever you see on TV in the mainstream. That's not necessarily what the left. That's not necessarily what the right is. They have their different agendas because they want to get in power for politics for whatever different reasons, whatever agenda they're pushing. So I think that's one of the main issues with news and how it gets disseminated. Everyone has an agenda. Everyone's trying to push their own thing. So you kind of got to sift through and see what's real and what's not real.
But you can't sift through all the shit though, man.
I know it's hard
Because there's a lot of shit out there.
It's hard.
That is succinctly aimed at like being biased or succinctly like totally
agreed.
aimed at like being skewed. And most of it is not mainstream media bullshit.
So-
I agree.
You know what I am confused that I don't see more of, that I was trying to figure it out, and then I did this funny exercise. It's like, I don't understand why we don't have custom algorithm filters. Like a news website, it's going to feed you bullshit. But what about like a little algo AI that crawls the whole internet for you and like finds the news from different countries and then gives you like a little spread of like different perspectives so that you can get a more whole, you know, more of a bird's eye view on things. It's like, why isn't that service available? Or like, you know, the YouTube algorithm sucks so much. Why isn't there like some sort of like third party filter that's going to like feed me videos that I am more interested in than YouTube's one size fits all algorithm that is going to feed me like total bullshit I don't want to see. You know, like you don't see that. And I tried Googling it. I tried Googling and finding the words for custom like algorithm filter. And it made me think like, what if Google's algorithm will never let me see that service for custom algorithms? So it's like, it makes me suspicious about like why I've never heard of that service, because I would imagine that'd be a pretty useful and popular service.
Now think about that. You just told him that you don't give a shit if these platforms bind together, right, to deny service to Parler, for instance, right? But what about the idea that all along Google has been sort of controlling what you see and like what you Google, right? That's a problem in itself.
I feel like, yeah, by default, that's what they do.
That is what they do, right?
And I'm agreeing to it.
And you can never Google outside of it.
Right. I mean, I guess there's like DuckDuckGo.
That's why we need Bing.
But I even went on DuckDuckGo, but I couldn't find anything about this, and I just don't get why it must be difficult.
I tried
problem.
de-Googling myself. I tried getting rid of all Google services.
How do you de-Google yourself, man?
Yeah,
It's hard.
He's disconnected. You're just wandering around like, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I'm still on Gmail, but that's it. Like I took Google off my phone. I have like an un-Google phone, no Google services. It's
I don't
crazy.
know.
Google
Maybe-
makes it so easy.
Maybe I'm a simp.
And they
for-
do. They really do make it so
Makes it-
easy.
Maybe I'm a simp for tech, but I've never felt the paranoia when it comes to Google. You know, I've always fucking just trusted them. Like I've never been paranoid about it. I don't know.
I just get annoyed. I just get annoyed if they're a little stupid.
I get paranoid about Instagram.
If their little AI suggest shit to me that I don't care about, I'm just like, please leave me alone. Like I wish you would just not do anything. But
Well, it's that we're the product. Our information gets sold to different companies to sell to us, to sell products to us. And then on top of that, if that doesn't bother you, that's fine. What are one of the biggest problems with decentralized companies having all of our information in different places is that data breaches are real. Data breaches happen all the time.
Yeah,
And your information
totally.
gets leaked all the time. And so if this one centralized company who now bought your information or you gave it to them for whatever reason, their security isn't up to rest. Oh, whoops. Well, we had a
We
data
lost
breach.
our shit.
Oh, well. Now some guy has my social and they might be trying to do a phishing attempt, or they already took out my social to do someone's taxes, which has already happened to me,
but
actually.
it's crazy how many scams are just out there gnawing away.
Yeah.
Gnawing at your ankles, dude.
And not only just data breaches and stuff too, but like
Fucking freezing, dude. You have a
yeah,
sweater?
it's kind of cold in here.
Come on, bro.
Like I'm sure whenever you guys remember, because it was such a big deal. It was a couple months ago. Facebook went down, and that also meant that Instagram went down, and it also meant that WhatsApp went down, and everyone lost their shit because one entity that controls 3 different freaking platforms went down.
Entire infrastructure
and all these
down.
people rely on it. So it's like, man, these guys, they do have kind of a lot of power, and Zuckerberg has taken internet out, not internet out, but he's like shut down his platforms out of spite before. He's done it before. So
to go back to the idea of decentralized, it'd be interesting if we had decentralized internet services per region. What if like one small region had one internet service provider? And even though the internet went down for the dudes over there, it wasn't affecting us because, like we're paying just one,
it was more modular.
It doesn't get, exactly, it's more modular. There's, when the leg gets cut off, the whole body doesn't fall apart,
Right.
Kind of idea.
I forget where I got this idea. I might have just like thought of it, but the Miyazaki films?
Yeah.
How like
Which Miyazaki?
like
all of them,
Spirited,
bro.
like
Yes.
Studio Ghibli.
Yes.
I thought like what if all those universes are actually simulated like realities, and that's just like one lush pocket of a local regional internet fiber network with a powerful AI that keeps away all of like the like apocalyptic outside, because I feel like outside that lush Miyazaki environment there's actually a reality which is a desecrated like wasteland full of just like like digital scams, like with AIs just trying to like break away at all your like securities and like break in and destroy whatever network you've got going on. But inside the Miyazaki like lush environments, I think is just like this simulated like protected AI, like a good AI is actually protecting that world.
Have you seen Howl's Moving Castle?
Yeah, actually.
That's kind of not that idea, but like it's this beautiful world, but like Howl goes into this other world of war where he's fighting whoever, this and that. And to me, that's kind of like that paradigm where like, everything's beautiful and lush here, but then there's also this nasty war going on.
It just made me think like what you're saying, like imagine there's like internet that's like basically modular cells across regions. And it made, because I thought once about like some like sort of cyberpunk story where like I know where all the fibers are underground, and so like whenever I need to like send a vast amount of information for some sort of thing, like I can break in to like the physical fiber and like tap in, and even like maybe send myself like some sort of information superhighway literally.
Brad.
Like maybe I can like teleport through it, blah blah blah. And so that kind of made me think about like environments that like eventually just are like modular cells that are like span across regions, and they're like neighborhoods, but some neighborhoods are doing better than others because they have better cybersecurities and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea because
You mean in the realm of internet, or you mean like in the realm of like how a city is built, or like how
Kind of both. I
Or,
guess
like, neighborhoods would be
I'm
built.
assuming at that point every living being is already jacked in, and so like the world is just that shared simulation.
I feel like we have different needs. We have different like opinions depending on where we live. Like people in Miami may have a different opinion from people in like, I don't know, somewhere in rural Florida or even in Wisconsin, like simply because of like our commerce. Like we rely more on tourism versus someone who may rely more on farming and X, Y, and Z. So like we'll have different needs. So I like the idea of like modular, where like you can like change the infrastructure or whatever to supplant whatever needs are needed.
Well, it's clearly pretty difficult, huh?
What do you mean?
To have regional internet, 'cause that just doesn't happen.
At least
You
not,
have
at least not in the
monopolies.
United States,
Well,
dude.
not just internet, but like I mean in general, like yeah, internet's one, but just like in general resources, like everything we have is usually controlled by like larger corporations that just control a lot,
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
they make
bad.
decisions not based on small regions, but on
Profit
what's going to
or
make their bottom dollar.
or works better for them. Yeah, that's actually in the United States a huge problem. The fact that there are these massive companies who are in control of the internet, and they don't see a good profit motive to go into these rural areas and provide internet.
Oh yeah.
And because they're the only ones that can provide it, they just don't do it.
Oh.
So what ends up happening is that
Right.
smaller companies actually start forming.
Yeah.
And they create these like smaller neighborhood internet
That's
service
very true.
providers,
Very
and
true.
they're cheaper and they're better, and people are
So
jumping
why
on
doesn't
that.
Yeah. What,
So in a way, it is kind of happening, and it kind of reminds me of
Is
what
it?
John
You're
was
right.
saying.
No,
It is.
you're
though.
right. I
It does
have heard of
happen.
that. I have heard of
And
that.
it's like what John was saying. Like if there isn't, if you get deplatformed and like whatever gets taken away from you, it's just human nature. Someone somewhere is gonna like come up with a way to overcome it. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
because you need internet.
For sure.
And it's good that smaller companies are stepping up to the plate, and then the big dudes see those smaller companies and they're like, oh shit, yeah, maybe we should start spreading into like rural areas. And it's like, yeah,
Hopefully.
you fucking think you
So-
don't think everybody wants internet, dude?
Or they'll do it once just to like, virtual signal and then they'll-
Yeah.
So speaking of like big fucking the problem of huge companies, there's this funny story that I heard sometime last year that was really really funny to me. There's this guy. His name's Frank Amadeo.
Okay.
Frank
know
Amadeo.
who he is.
He's in prison right now.
Okay.
So he's this bipolar, I think bipolar schizophrenic lawyer. And what happens is that he'll have depressive episodes, but then he'll have these manic episodes of this like crazy mania where he basically started, he became a corporate headhunter and he began absorbing a bunch of like security firms, like mercenary shit, and a bunch of financial firms.
Oh, wow.
And a bunch of weapons firms. And like he just started absorbing all of these companies and started
Creating like a private military.
Yeah, he created this entire sort of little dynasty thing. In his like manic episodes, he would execute these like insane legal maneuvers. And at some point he
What's this guy's name again?
Frank
Frank
Amadeo.
Amadeo.
And so at some point he went to Africa and using his, his pull, his money and his people, he's trying to get a guy elected there. And he did a bunch of shit. Like he managed in one of his manic
That's insanity,
episodes,
dude.
he managed to set up an agreement with some Middle Eastern people and this African guy to trade because this particular group of Middle Eastern people didn't believe in debt. And they didn't believe in borrowing money.
Debt. They said the dead. I'm like, they don't believe in the dead.
They don't believe in
They
the
didn't
debt.
believe in borrow money and
the
debt.
debt. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get you.
But he managed to create an agreement that they agreed to, and he's making these insane trade things happen. He's in Africa, like trying to get this guy elected. Sounds like fucking Goldfinger
Yeah, it's
from 007.
insanity.
And at some point he gets in with NATO, and NATO,
What?
and he's helping NATO with like military operations and shit. And so apparently there's a party one time, and his thing is he wants to be in control of the whole world, every single country. So he's at a NATO party, and I think somebody asks him, they're like, "So what's the end game, Frank? Like, what do you want?" And like he says it really flippantly, like he's just like, "Oh well, at some point we're not even gonna need NATO anymore because I'm eventually just gonna control everything."
You.
And then it was like the record scratched at the party.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody in NATO like looks at him, and George Bush himself had to declare that he be neutralized.
Wow.
Because he was being, I guess, a little too explicit with what his goals are.
That's insanity.
And he ended up in prison, and he's in prison now, and still convinced that he will eventually, once he's over this rough patch,
Own the world.
own the world. Yeah, he's in prison, and he runs this. Basically, he helps inmates get their sentences reduced, just
'Cause he's a lawyer.
just because he's bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go against U.S. hegemonic power, or you'll get shut down.
But yeah, that's crazy, man. This one guy was really
Yeah.
amassing a formidable force. Had to
But
be
was that what he
neutralized.
was trying to do? He was trying to go against the United States of America?
Well, he was smart enough to be working with NATO, but in his mind, the end goal, without
was
a
to
doubt,
take
is
over NATO.
eventually to be in control. Whatever that meant.
That's
I don't
insane.
know what that meant.
The things people do with their free time.
Well, it goes back to money and power. You can do a lot with money and power. It's just a tool. It's not, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if you have all this influence, you could do a lot with it. And you could.
Sounds like he just wanted power, though, for power's sake, right? Because it sounded like he was smart enough and resourceful enough to maintain a hella profitable business if he's dealing with arms and security, right?
Yep.
So if he wanted to, he could have just taken the money, but no, he had to go for NATO like a dummy.
Well, I mean, NATO is known for like funneling guns and to like different areas, but that's a whole nother
NATO
conversation.
itself?
Yeah, like
Oh, God knows what kind of fucking shit they've been up to, dude. Who knows?
they're like really just an arm of like of our imperialistic power throughout Europe.
I always just thought that NATO was just a military alliance.
It's supposed to be on the front, but it was a result, I believe, of like what, World War II, like.
Well, yeah, NATO exists to defend against Russian aggression. But people who are in NATO aren't forced to be in NATO, though. They want to be in NATO.
But wasn't Russia on our end, or on our side of the Allies at the end of World War II? Well, didn't they help
I think
fight
NATO
Hitler?
came out because of the Cold War, right?
Yeah, I think you're
Yeah,
right.
the
Yeah,
fucking Cold War.
yeah, it's a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is a lot of crazy shit.
there's just different forms of authoritarianism. We have our form, they have their form, the Chinese have their own form.
But I like Western authoritarianism more than I like Chinese and Russian authoritarianism.
I'm glad I'm here versus there.
It's a little bit more, I don't know. You got more freedom, I guess. If
Yeah,
that's
we're more
that's even a
chaotic.
real concept.
I would say we're more chaotic. They're more ordered. Well, at least the Chinese are more efficient and ordered. They shut down, they control social media. They shut down crypto. They kicked out all the Bitcoin miners. There's no dissent in China.
No.
You got to be for the party.
Yeah.
So just different forms.
I feel like everybody's so stressed out nowadays, dude. Sucks.
How am I supposed to relax, John? Tell me.
No, dude.
How am I
no.
supposed to relax?
It's fucking impossible out there.
I'm getting FOMO from all the coins that I have, and all the fucking
What do you
values
want? What do you want? What do you
dropping.
want? What do you want?
Ukraine's in trouble. Russia's behind it. Like
But that war's been going on for like
Germany's being held
8 years
hostage
now.
by their gasoline supply line that they've had with Russia for years. Like,
No, what we're forcing. Okay, so we're pressuring all those countries to not buy from Russia.
which is
doing
not
that.
going to happen.
We're not. Yeah, and
impossible.
and India is not taking advantage because now Russia is giving India like 20% off or some shit. They're like,
No
oh yeah,
shit.
the biggest democracy in the world, India, is not for this. They're like, oh, what are you guys doing? Stop.
So what they're
Because it's one thing. I'm not for the war, obviously. I think it's
But they're
terrible.
buying the
I think
Russian
Russia's an
gasoline?
aggressor. Yes, they're liquefied natural gases. It's not just the gas. It's also they're one of the largest producers of wheat, and Ukraine, one of the largest producers of wheat,
So
of fertilizer,
You guys
Yeah.
think
which we all need.
there's going to be a famine?
I think the prices of food is going up, and it's going to.
I don't think there's going to be a famine in the United States.
Yeah, I don't think
in the
so
United
either.
States, no.
You're right.
Everywhere else, probably. Not everywhere
I
else, but
heard
everywhere
some-
else that's directly affected
I
by
heard
these
some
people.
crazy numbers, dude.
I heard some insane numbers, too.
Ukraine grows a lot of wheat.
Yeah.
Think about the economies that.
Egypt.
Okay, so Russia's huge. Think about the economies that rely on Russia, who buy and sell with Russia. Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, all those stands,
Yeah.
like, and a lot of that shit that as the global elite kind of forced. Okay, you guys, like we all should become a part of a global economy. Give up your sovereignty to make your own food, have your own energy. Let's all become a part of a global economy. And then now we're like, okay, well, you know what? Fuck Russia. We're cutting Russia off of everything. So how are these countries now supposed to subsist when they're being forced to choose between the United States alliance or the Russian alliance? Like,
Right.
it's such bullshit. Like, and who's getting hurt? Regular people, not the oligarchs.
Yeah. I don't know. My idea with globalization is a little bit different.
I think eventually we'll all be
I think
globalized.
globalization, for the most part, is good only because it only seems natural. It seems like
It's inevitable.
that's what we're heading towards, and to sort of stop it is kind of like going against the way that human evolution is kind of working towards.
It also depends on who is controlling it and to what ends. Like, once again, we go back to corporations and their profit motives, and they're doing things for themselves or for the good of everybody. Who's winning, who's losing.
I don't know. I mean, people were trying to integrate with Russia. You know, they're trying to essentially globalize them, and the whole idea was that if we bind ourselves to Russia economically, then they'll be less likely to do fucked up shit. And that was totally not true. Russia didn't care. Russia didn't care about the fact that so many other countries relied on them, and that they relied on so much other shit from other countries.
So do you think
they did it anyway?
Yeah, but we've been pushing Russia into this war for years, though. We've been literally pushing Russia into this war for years.
Right, because Hunter Biden's smoking crack with
having
Ukraine.
nothing to do with Hunter
Yeah.
Biden.
Of course, Hunter Biden's over there. How are they going to resist?
Okay, so when the wall fell in 1989, there was an agreement that NATO would not go past East Germany. So it was the agreement was, okay, West Germany and East Germany will unite.
kept
There'll be
inching
unification, but NATO will not go past this line. It will not advance towards Russia, because Russia was worried about having nukes and arms and everything at their doors.
It's like the
with
boiled
good reason.
lobster, the boiled lobster
Yeah.
technique.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like
then what
you
happens
warm
is
the water up nice and slow.
NATO keeps going more and more east, east, and they keep saying no, no, no.
You know
and
why I know
they keep
that's? You know why I know that's bullshit. That Russia was pushed to go to war by NATO. It's bullshit because Putin, when he finally invaded Ukraine, he didn't say it was because of NATO.
He said
he
of
said it was
Nazis.
because of the Nazis.
Yeah, which there are Nazis in Ukraine.
But
But
why does that mean
Listen.
that NATO encroaching is bullshit?
Because
He just said that NATO trained the Nazis.
yeah, but
no.
so,
I
like,
said the CIA. The CIA.
indirectly-
But it's not. I don't know.
CIA, NATO, the West trained the Nazis, right? Quote. So why wouldn't Russia equate the Nazis with the West?
But that's not how they worded it. I don't know.
Why would you believe what Putin says?
You're right. Why would I believe what he says? I guess I would believe what he does, right?
Right,
Which is
yeah,
invade another
I'm,
country.
I'm a little shocked right now that
Right,
you're
so-
like basing all this on what Putin told you.
He didn't tell me anything, but that's like his. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Okay, but wait, I have a question. So
Dude, you're talking to him, but you're talking to me. Look at me.
when was I? I mean, I'm talking to both of you. I have a question. So we agree we're going to buy Russian, or let's say Europe or whoever, they're buying a lot of Russian like oil now or gas, and I think
They have been
probably
doing
do
it for a
too.
while. Yeah.
Nord Stream and Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2.
So for the sake of like not giving Russia so much leverage, are you more okay with like fracking?
Oh, I don't know.
Which one is more?
I don't know.
Fracking where?
Fracking here, like, because fracking here,
It's destroying it's destroying.
but
I
it does
agree
give
with-
us energy independence,
I know. Unfortunately, it does.
right? And then there's the XL pipeline too.
Yeah.
We stopped that.
The Keystone Pipeline, which
The
they're
Keystone-
trying to turn back on.
the
Yeah.
Keystone, and all of that
And it
prevents us
destroys-
from being energy independent.
And it destroys the communities around it, usually Native American communities.
and
It's
so kind of
fucked up.
Yeah,
inevitably,
it's fucked up
Completely
because it's fucked up because I don't really like the whole gas and oil industry.
I
Like at
don't
all.
either.
Whether Russia's behind it or whoever,
right?
I think it sucks that we have to choose between fucking buying gas from Russia or destroying our environment here.
Right,
I
buying-
just think it sucks that we set ourselves up. It's 2022 and now these are our options.
Well,
You know what
that's
I mean?
kind of always life, though.
But,
life always.
But
gives
is it life
you-
or is it what he's been talking about? The fact that some people are in power and they get to call the shots and they get to say how society
But
works.
isn't that life? Isn't life like you're not going to have an opinion on the buck, bigger than you that's going to come and tackle you and tell you like, hey, I'm going to, take all the ladies and you're not going to do anything about it because because you're smaller than me and you're weak.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just kind of
I don't
generally
know.
how shit goes down.
You're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. The powerful win.
Jesus.
But it's for me. It's hard to take. It's hard to take the moralistic standpoint in this whole thing with Russia because where does the rest of our oil come from?
Canada?
Saudi Arabia,
Saudi Arabia?
the largest purveyor of human rights violations in the world,
Right, yeah.
the most conservative, most I don't want to call them backwards. They're not backwards, but like what we consider values here in the West.
So how can you
don't?
exactly? So how can you say Germany stop buying gas from Russia when it's like, yo, dude, you're buying gas from Saudi Arabia, dog? Like,
and we let a lot of shit go with Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
We helped them in Yemen. The whole war in Yemen and Syria, we were fighting with the Saudis against the Russians and others. We're arming a bunch of people to kill each other, and it's really a proxy war. It's a bunch of bullshit.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. The only difference
I'm just
is
not
that,
for war, period.
the only difference is that it affects the West directly, right? That's the only time that really matters, right? That's the only time that we rally up together
Because we're trying
because
to
Ukraine was trying to
cancel
become
Russia.
part of the West.
Well, that's up to you, isn't it? You can not care.
NATO
I
themselves.
guess you could not.
That's the thing, though. NATO themselves told Ukraine that you are not going to join NATO.
Yeah, they did.
They literally did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be kind of dumb for them to let the Ukraine join NATO, right? It's like, hey, I want to pull out this life insurance. Some guy's trying to kill me, but like, can I get this life insurance policy? You know, it's like,
Like, imagine if Russia set up a base in Mexico.
Exactly, and armed nukes at us. Would we be like, oh yeah, sure, why not?
I don't know.
Yeah, no problem. Cuban Missile Crisis.
So you're saying that
I'm
you're saying that's
anti-war.
what-
I'm anti-war.
Right,
I'm
right.
not. For, I think
Yeah.
Russia is fucked up for being the aggressor. They're fucking killing a bunch of people. They're killing their own people.
I don't even know how you can, like, can you really say anti-war
I'm
nowadays?
anti-war. I don't
know.
believe war
Like,
is.
how do you even
justifiable
I feel
in
like
any
if you're
way.
gonna want to say you're anti-war, I feel like you might as well just not say anything because it's like, what does that mean? Anti-war?
well, because most people are anti-war, right? Because nobody wants a war. Is that what you mean?
Because sure, like anybody's gonna say they don't want a war, but like
When the conditions are right, you agree to it.
there's so many things. When the conditions are right, we're also like reaping the benefits of our bloody
we
wars
are.
that
Yeah,
we fought
for sure.
for years and years
Petrodollar,
and years.
baby.
So
We live it.
I mean, I almost feel like I don't know if it's even I don't know if it's possible
So
to
then
even be anti-war.
this kind of goes back to the conversation of like free will or like you choosing to live before you're born and your name and all this and that. It's like, so did we choose this world that we live in?
Well, no, I wouldn't say choose.
we-
I'm just saying agree that you're okay with it. It's like, hey, you're gonna live in a country that mutilated millions of natives that lived, I guess. I mean, they mutilated each other too, but you're gonna live on the blood of millions of Native Americans, and you're gonna live on the backs of millions of enslaved people. And at any moment, you can get murdered or eviscerated by some wild animal. Are you down? It's like, well.
I mean, I'm not sure what you're trying to say, but I'll say with this: I love this country, not the government.
America.
I honestly I've had a chance to drive across.
I'm not even just talking about America. I'm just talking about life. Life itself is the agreement that like you're going to be standing on the blood of everything that came before you.
True.
And you will be someone's dinner at some point.
But listen to me. So like I've been lucky enough to like drive across this country, meet different people, and I think that's the main thing. It's the people, like the people that really make any experience, that make my life, the relationships I have with people and everything, and that's what's important to me. Like. Not like what governments think, what these people are trying to do there. I think it's fucked up. I think we should speak out against it. But to me, like, my life experience, so we're going back, we were saying, like, it's this sensory experience, it's these connections we make. That's what's most important to me. And you have to recognize our, what do you call it, privilege, if you want to call it that. It's true, we all have privilege, but can't ignore it either.
No, yeah, it's tough deciding exactly what things I don't care about. It's like,
I don't give a fuck about sports.
I'm not going to care about this. I feel a little bit more about, as much as like, yes, this war's been going on for a long time.
It's pretty normal,
I
though.
feel more bad about like, Kiev being destroyed than Hunter Biden in a bathtub.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
with a headache.
It is also pretty normal, right? This constant battle, like you say you're anti-war, right? But man, we've been doing war forever.
Oh, yeah. For
Human existence is war.
Not even
if
humans,
anything,
like
natural state
animals.
of being is probably
the
war.
Bhagavad Gita, I think
Yeah.
the entirety of it is on a battlefield with two
It is.
opposing armies and the two generals at the front, and the moment of them just having a dialogue.
Right.
Like it's that moment. That is like the Bhagavad
And it's
Gita.
super crucial. It's a reason. There's a
I mean,
reason why it takes place
that
there.
might be just an analogy for existence itself. Is
It
two
totally
opposing,
completely is.
two opposing forces at which the next moment will decide what direction
Yeah.
it's going to go in.
We wrote a song. I used to be in a death metal band, and we wrote a song once called "For the Rest of the Fire," and the whole song was about how, in order for anything to sustain itself, it needs to take from something else. And there's a line that I always think about. It says, "As teeth clutch at our throats, trial of fate, we quiver and pulsate to discover on which side the balance lay." And it's really all that existence is. It's like there's this one fire, and somebody wants it. And if you want to live, you need to take it, and you need to hold it within you. And if other things want to live, they need to keep that fire alive somehow, either by consuming or by living somehow. And that's just constantly what it is. It's like taking some of your shit, putting it onto me, implanting it with memories, giving it to a seed, dying, and just other things coming in and taking it, grabbing it and taking it.
I like that. It's a cool lyric. Like, I'm interested in the idea of like community and integrating and trying to like create emergence between different things.
Instead of just
like,
fucking eating each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it happens, obviously.
Yeah.
But can we evolve to the point where like we globalize? We're gonna, like we were saying, it's inevitable. We're gonna globalize. Like, at what point are we gonna do it where we're benefiting the whole?
I think it all starts with everybody going vegan.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Probably.
I'm not vegan, but I see what you're saying.
I think it
though.
probably does.
It's hard for
Right.
me.
Because
Because
It's hard for me to disagree.
If you think about war,
it kind of goes against your ideas because you're like, damn, maybe
Like-
I shouldn't be eating shit.
like, let me ask you this: do you
It's
think
all
you
about experience because I enjoy meat, I enjoy animal products, but I'm also a huge animal lover. My
but
dogs,
you're also anti-war.
I'm also
right?
anti-war.
So how is it that you can be anti-war, but you can be okay with like the
war
meat
against
industry?
animals. No, I'm not okay.
Exactly.
I'm definitely not okay with the
Yeah.
industry. It's
yeah.
just one of those things that like I've accepted, unfortunately. Like how John was saying earlier, like
yeah.
we try to just.
Indifferent to war, indifferent to eating animals.
I'm not indifferent to it. I've just become numb to it.
That's me. That's me.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, right.
No, that's me. I am indifferent to both. Indifferent to companies, private companies, silencing whoever they want.
Right.
And we all choose our life, There's no right answer.
What it is, I mean, going back to Hinduism, what they say is it is just a drama, right? That's you come to this existence to experience the great cosmic drama, and it's all just it's death, it's laughter, it's food, it's sex, it's crying, it's all that, and that's really all it is.
I'm trying. There's a part of me trying to stay optimistic that like maybe nothing's actually changing, because a lot of the time I feel like you can say that it's like maybe nothing's actually changing, but things kind of feel especially shitty right now. But maybe they're not. Maybe nothing's actually changing. Maybe I was thinking, like there's probably plenty of opportunities in digital money, even though everything's so expensive, and people aren't making shit. It's like if you know a little bit of program shit.
I don't know. Even with digital money, when you think about it, I'm not an expert. You know about it more than I do, but the way I see it is like, I don't know. There's only so much of that shit that exists, right? And anybody can come and hoard it just like regular money.
But
right?
yeah, I mean that's true.
Minus Bitcoin.
But like the valuation,
you can't
of it,
hoard Bitcoin.
Yeah, you can hoard.
Well,
Bitcoin.
I mean, if you buy it, it's still.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. You could definitely hoard all Bitcoin, but like Bitcoin is different. It's in it that it's proof of work. It's like it's all based. I know you don't want to get into conversation about Bitcoin, but it's
you
just
guys always do this, right? Like every show, it's like we don't want to talk about Bitcoin.
Well, no. But the thing is, it has to come up because it's become so pervasive.
Right. True.
But it's also, I guess, for me, it feels too easy to basically. Let me try to let me try to paint this picture.
Yeah.
The concept of digital money itself seems to be that the sheer complexity of transactions has created the value people see in it, where there's actually kind of nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the complexity of the transaction network that has now become sort of self-sustained. It's just the sheer amount of people actually involved and participating is giving it the value that anything has. And so I feel like it's inevitable to bring it up and talk about how it applies to like what we might be talking about, but it's also too easy to get lost in an infinite amount of details that actually lead practically nowhere.
Yeah.
There's just so much detail
I agree with
to it that
so let's try to keep it as simple as possible.
Right. I don't mind going into concepts
let's
at
try
all.
to keep it as simple as possible. So scarcity, like why is like something valuable? Because it's scarce. Because if we had infinite of everything, it wouldn't be valuable, right? Everyone has something. But if we only had 10 of something, if you only had 10 of those tape decks, it'd probably be a little more valuable.
Tape deck coin.
Tape deck coin. There you go.
I actually don't think that's where Bitcoin's value comes from.
No, but listen though. So it is it's fixed at 21 million. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. That's one point of it. So that's scarcity. Second, the ledger, every transaction, like the block being mined right now, references back to every block that has been mined since the first block. And why is that important? Because everyone can verify that it's true. So if a transaction happened, it happened. Like you can't go back on that. No bank can fudge the numbers. Oh, let's add a zero here. Let's subtract a zero here. No, it's free and open for everyone to verify and see. And that's a beautiful thing because it takes away the idea of corruption, of some centralized power control or anything. No, like we all hold the power to verify that something happened. That's super important. And third, you control your own keys. You control your own money. Yeah. Self-sovereignty in banking. Like,
those are all...
What if I need bread, though? What if I need milk?
Yes, I know.
You just give me little numbers. Just give me
what if I need bread?
Numbers.
What if I need milk? What if Russia fucked up my entire town? What if I don't have internet? And like, I don't have access to any of my Bitcoin? Well, what if I have 3 Bitcoin?
Yeah, but your Bitcoin's not gone, though. As soon as you get to a computer, you have access.
But is it money the same way? Yes, cash. Obviously, we have our
I
cash
guess money
dollar.
is the same way, right? Because if all my money burns,
yeah. In fact,
no.
If all your money, if your house exploded and all your money burned, that's it. It's gone. But if you had digital money,
then
you
it's
could just
never
go to
gone.
another computer.
But listen, you're not listening. So yes, cash. But how many countries actually transact in cash? So when Russia and when let's say the United States and the UK trade, are they sending over buttloads of cash? No, it's just all
transactions.
Numbers.
It's all,
it's all messages. That's what Swift is. They're just sending messages. So what if the internet goes down? What if the sun is blocked out for 6 months and we have no electricity? The economy is fucked. We go back to cash. We go back to hard money. We go back to bartering. So it's the same shit. That conversation, argument doesn't go against Bitcoin either.
Well, yeah, the most valuable thing about Bitcoin, though, is how much energy it uses. You know how everybody says Bitcoin uses so much energy?
Isn't it a bad thing, though?
Because the more people mine it. Here's the thing.
I don't know. Again, I don't know anything.
Right. And I'll explain to you why that's exactly why it's so important to Bitcoin, is because every time somebody's mining, it's that they're giving a portion of their computing power of whatever machine they've got for the entire ledger to do the work it needs to do
to solve a problem,
to make the next block.
It's to solve a cryptographical problem, yeah.
And so basically what that means, that's why there's so much energy being consumed, because it's that sheer amount of shared distributed processing that every computer that is involved in mining Bitcoin is contributing. When you take into account all of that, that's where you get that huge energy consumption. And so the point of that is that if anybody wanted to fool the network and to gain access to like maybe changing like, you know, a part of what's being recorded, like if you wanted to somehow gain access to like manipulating that,
or they take money basically
in order to trick the system into giving you that kind of power, you have to match that computing processing power physically that's being used by Bitcoin at this moment, which is unfathomable.
Right.
It's practically a small country. So you would need the
Not exactly, John. No, because so every node has a copy of the ledgers. So like I could have a copy of the ledger. I have a copy of the ledger on my phone actually, but I'm not mining blocks. I'm not trying to help mine Bitcoin. The point is that like what you're saying is true, but it's true to the point where if it's called the 51% attack, where if 51% of the nodes on the network agreed that the ledger should be this and not that, then yes, you could do that. But
that's what I mean by match. Like that's probably one of the easiest ways to like.
But that's why it's decentralized, because we want everyone to have a copy of the ledger, a copy of node, because then we can all verify. So that way you can't pull attacks like that.
But you could if you had a country's worth of computing power. You theoretically could stage an attack like that.
But
What are my
that's
issues?
not how it works, though. That's not how it works.
One of my issues with Bitcoin is if I can like maybe.
And second, hold on, real
express-
fast. Sorry. How much energy and blood do you think the petrodollar uses?
I mean, you're preaching to the choir over here. Like, I'm,
all right, sorry, continue.
This is my issue with Bitcoin, right? When I said earlier, like, what if I want bread, or what if I want eggs, or whatever? What I meant was that, like, you know, you guys are telling me, like, oh, it's great because it's decentralized and like you can prove this and you can prove that, right? But like, okay, so is the end goal to replace like real money? Well, not real money, but
no,
like,
not at all. Because
with Bitcoin,
there's
I don't think it
shitcoins.
is.
Okay, so
the dollar is just
so-
another shitcoin.
So that's why I don't like Bitcoin, because it's not practical. The reason why Bitcoin right now is like famous or popular, or why people are really getting into it, is not because they want it to be integrated into society as a new system that everybody uses to make
No.
currency. It's not because of that.
It's a speculative asset.
Everybody does it because they want to make money.
Absolutely.
Well, sure.
I completely agree.
And so that's just another, like, for me, it's just another capitalistic fucking ploy to get people riled up to take your money into some bullshit so that people who are paying attention can round it all up and like make some fucking money.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's
don't
fair, but
I completely agree.
I don't
the thing
necessarily
is-
buy the whole idea that, oh yeah, for me that sounds like what's the word, like a sales pitch. Oh yeah, that's like the sales pitch
nobody-
you use to get people to believe that Bitcoin is useful to get the speculation going.
But,
and
like,
now that's just ran with itself.
But now it's like that because it's made people money already. But
Right.
who was trying to sell it? You know, why did people buy into it? Because it's proven itself.
Yeah.
And
Is that why though, or is it become or is it because people have been making money off of it, and so people are paying attention to it because of that?
I
think it's the latter.
I think that's very recent, and I think that's small potatoes. Because I think where most of the money that's in Bitcoin comes from is from institutions that have,
Put into
decided
that they've bought
to
it.
get in.
A lot of them have bought it.
What
yeah.
you're talking about, like people that deciding to buy in or not, that's kind of like a fizz at the top.
So I mean, you're right, but
I
at
don't
the
know.
same time,
I just don't see it being implemented in any practical way.
Well, here's the thing too.
So I see is people using it as speculatively, and like
a
it's
store of value.
Right,
it
exactly.
just bothers me
it's
that
like gold. It's like
Yeah.
if
Exactly.
somebody's got a bar of gold under their bed, it's not going to necessarily lose value, and it's also not necessarily going to be what they use to go buy groceries with.
true.
But it's good as a semi-stable form of just holding, and then of course the dollar and everything else is not going away. You're just going to have more currencies that will kind of just be more volatile and create just more like a little more movement. But it's not supposed to take the place of an easy currency. It's just like I said, like something like what we were talking about. The fact that it
It's
uses
just another
so
place
much,
to put your money that isn't.
yeah, the fact that it
US bank.
uses so much energy already,
that inflation isn't happening like it is now with our dollar.
Interesting.
it gives it stability and protection that it uses so much energy.
But there's the
I can see
idea
that.
of lightning.
I can buy that.
And lightning is I won't get into it because yes, you're right. Like Bitcoin doesn't scale. It's not practical right now to go.
I mean,
buy
there's lightning.
milk.
There's a million. There's
What do you-
a million
what do you guys mean by
services that are
lightning?
Lightning
doing-
is, but Lightning is Bitcoin. It's just what's called like a layer 2 solution. It's just like, it's a way of like sending very small amounts of Bitcoin called satoshis, literally within a second. Like if you had a Lightning wallet and I had my Lightning wallet, I could send you $5 right now if I wanted.
Like Cash App or something.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So that's like the cash analogy. If you want to use that analogy where Bitcoin is gold, Lightning is cash. And yes, right now it's not a solution. It's still being developed. This is all open source.
Right.
This is literally all. Yes, there is some venture capitalists funding it. I completely agree. But a lot of Bitcoin is also open source, and it's slowly being developed. But it's a really interesting idea.
I guess it is
that's
pretty
not
young
going
still,
away.
right?
There's fucking
Oh, yeah.
the new Ghost in the Shell on Netflix. It's amazing. I highly
Really?
suggest the animation's horrible.
Was it CGI animation?
Yeah, it's like a
Oh,
really
I
horrible
can't stand
CGI.
when they do
but
that.
the story's so good. One of the episodes, it's like the story to it. It's like 2043. It's Ghost in the Shell 2043, something like that. The world basically moved into a digital currency network, and then at some point, this really like powerful AI that merged with a person. There was like a small group of them, and they staged an attack on the entire global financial system where they set everybody to zero.
He staged it.
And they destroyed the entire global financial system.
It's incredible.
And the world fell into what they called the sustainable war, because it was a war that lasted. It was basically like a real like Mad Max, like just like once everybody goes to zero,
Yeah.
everything,
All bets are off, really.
everything just grinds.
He
to
who
a
controls the pants controls the universe.
screeching halt.
You guys
And you
watch
can't
Rick
do
and
that.
Morty?
And you can't do that with Bitcoin.
Well, I mean, actually, I feel like you could though.
Dude. I
You
feel like
can't.
someone would find a way eventually to do it.
That's why I mention it, because if it's already on a digital, I mean, you can if you manage to destroy every single computer Bitcoin is on. So imagine if someone writes a virus that truly is able to spread and destroy every hard drive that it can access that has a Bitcoin in it.
If you keep your keys, you can't lose your wallet. You would just create another wallet and re-access that wallet with your keys.
You're sounding a little religious.
No, I'm serious. Like it's.
I
okay.
know the mechanics of the whole thing. I'm just saying that if
You sound a little religious.
if you're totally digital, you are susceptible to a network attack. I know
I guess
Bitcoin
ultimately, yeah, right.
is worth $1 trillion because it's proven to be the best that we've got against a network attack, but it's still possible
Sure.
to take it down.
Haven't there been hacks? Haven't there been?
No, not on Bitcoin.
No,
It's
no,
been
no.
on other
Well,
things built on top of it.
Exchanges.
Exchanges and games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple just happened. Yeah.
Guess I'm just
Yeah.
buying into the propaganda then.
But I know. Bitcoin is the best solution we've got. $1 trillion is enough to convince me.
You're the one saying all this. I'm not saying all this. Like I don't think Bitcoin is infallible. Like it's not. Like we're gonna figure out problems with it. Like, but cryptography is super important. Like we have to like control our privacy. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, I think that'll be the difference between a desolate and corrupt community and a flourishing Miyazaki, wonderland. I think cryptography and security
You're
and
saying
AI.
Bitcoin is the answer to the future. That's what you just said.
Well, no, I think
Make sure there's a Bitcoin logo. behind us right now.
listen. I think Bitcoin's so boring, and
I hate that
that's
shit.
what's good about it is
I
that
hate
it is so secure and it is quite impenetrable, and it's boring as hell. And I think that's why it's as good as
Let me
good
leave
as
you
it
with
is.
some closing thoughts.
And
Okay.
Bitcoin practically is a religion at this point. I mean, once
Oh, yeah. I
once
would
you
say
make
so.
that much money, it's like
No, but I mean, a lot of Bitcoin maxis don't have a lot of Bitcoin at all. Like I'm totally Bitcoin maxi, and I'm not rich.
yeah,
It's an ethos thing. It really is.
yeah.
When you start looking into Bitcoin, you think it's an ethos thing. But let me leave you with this. Okay, so last conversation for the past hour, we've been talking about war, we've been talking about corruption, we've been talking about all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And what's one of the centralized themes behind all of that? It's money, the flow of money. Macroeconomics. Obviously, it's not just people trading stuff, but it also controls governments. It controls whether people in Uzbekistan get to eat, whether our gas prices go up. Money is super important. So if you have something decentralized, something that can't be fucked with, something where people can't change zeros and ones, something like Bitcoin, that may also affect this world we live in terms of like how we do trade with our governments, how people are not fucking each other over.
Yeah, but it'll also, like, inevitably the digital currency comes with Ethereum, comes with smart contracts, comes with automation, comes with AI, comes with the dehumanization
Yeah.
of the way societies run as well, which it means maybe less corruption, because maybe corruption is just the
You better-
a human aspect to our society.
I'm not talking about Ethereum.
You better
I don't like
believe.
Ethereum.
You better believe that once cryptocurrency becomes something that most people take seriously and that most people want to use, absolutely the institutions are going to start implementing them.
Oh, they
And
already
absolutely
are.
the
They
institutions
already
are gonna
are.
take
I
my
mean,
friend.
but like, just because you don't like something, like Ethereum is still like doing its thing.
Oh, it's super popular. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and like I think there is utility. Like, don't get me wrong, but like when I talked about, like personally for me, when I talk about like crypto, I'm talking about Bitcoin, and that's
Yeah.
just like my Bitcoin ethos. But I know there is a whole other world out there and different utilities, but they're not Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a dirty communist in me that thinks that money itself is I don't know.
But see, leftists should love Bitcoin. Look into Bitcoin, you're gonna realize it's a left's dream, and even the right will
I
love
just
Bitcoin.
don't see it. For me, I don't know. For me, I just see like, I hate to use this word, man.
I'll send you a book, an
Seems like a
online free
gimmick.
book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything.
It seems gimmicky, but you know what? You know what it is though. Maybe it's because I'm being jaded by the environment around it. Maybe because it's the capitalists who have been getting into Bitcoin and like pushing it, shit like Dogecoin and stuff like that. The whole environment around it just leaves a bad taste in my
Yeah,
mouth.
but I
you
mean,
know?
the
The
ethos
biggest-
And it pushes me away from it.
The biggest conferences just happened
I
this
know.
week in Miami.
I know it did.
You know how much money has flown into Miami? And actually, thanks to COVID, because that was supposed to be happening in LA last year.
Yeah.
It got canceled because of COVID. So they brought it to Miami, and they're like, oh, this might actually work out. And it's going to enrich our economy and then make us all bloody capitalists and at least property values will
digital
go up.
currencies don't feel capitalist to me.
Raise our rent, price of food.
I don't know. When I see a billboard telling me I should buy Bitcoin, or when I see a commercial telling me I should buy Bitcoin, like that just gives me a bad feeling. It doesn't
Agreed.
seem human. There's nothing human about that.
Agreed.
Yeah, but I feel like markets are a portal or a window that humans have to non-humanity.
Yeah, true.
And in general, it's like I don't even necessarily think it's a capitalist thing. Or maybe what I'm saying is that capitalism is actually just innate.
It could just be the FOMO in me, you know. It could just be the fact that I haven't made any money off of it, and it has been working out for me. That I'm being a bitter Billy about it, you know.
Yeah.
Being like, blam all this noise. This stuff is useless. Doesn't work for me.
Yeah. No,
that could be also affecting my attitude towards it.
I don't think it's over, and I think beyond just investing and making tons of money, I think there's also, I'm hopeful there's going to be opportunities.
I will say this. I do like this trend though that younger people our age are using it to become successful and that there exists this parallel kind of like financial institution aside from regular currencies, and that it seems to be that for the most part people our age and people with our attitude about life are becoming in charge of it. You know what I mean? This new like set of digital currencies and stuff. I do appreciate that. I think that's pretty rad.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope there's fun, interesting stuff that'll come from it.
Yeah.
Like, what's
gotta
the
build it,
safe
man.
world if
You
it's
gotta build it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
gotta
working
build it.
on.
You
That's
gotta
what I'm
build it.
working on.
Do you got to build it?
Hopefully, Web3 will be easier to like have custom algorithms, so we don't have to fucking just get shafted by.
And I think
The
we've
shitty
reached the end of
algorithms.
the night. You guys have any closing thoughts?
Pedro,
Is
man,
it the ending?
Buy Bitcoin?
what's your goodbye?
My goodbye.
We can keep going. If you guys want to keep talking, I'm down.
What time is it?
This is a fun conversation.
Nah, we should
10:40.
I should probably.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably about that time.
I actually have to
My boy's got a flight.
finish packing my entire
Yeah.
life and leave this country.
So thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
This has definitely been our most lively conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
I am honored to be able to just be like the last thing I do here in Miami. It's pretty awesome. I was looking forward to it. So, thank you, John.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, brother. Nice to meet
You guys
you.
are great.
Peace.